welcome to the Congo Hour. My name is Trippi. Wayne is not here this evening. She is a little under the weather, but the show must go on. So tonight we have one special guest. We have Frank Hawkins, who is here to talk about, he has so much going on. He's not from Wilmington, but he is now an honorary Wilmingtonian because he does so much for our community. And he's just come in from New York, and he just like dove straight in just to be a helping hand, a listening ear to our city. And we joke around a lot, but he really does some great things here for our Wilmingtonians here. He is a part of, what's it, AIDS Delaware, Frank?
Yeah.
And how long have you been with AIDS Delaware?
So this year made 24 years.
24 years.
24 years.
So tell us, what is AIDS Delaware?
So, first of all, thank you for having, having me on the show. As you mentioned, over the years, once I started at AIDS Delaware in 1999, I saw that there was a need for not only prevention, but I saw there was a need for messages to be heard, and kind of got, went to the streets, working with barbershops, beauty salons, and doing a lot of, community engagement, so to say. And from that, that point till now, one of the things that I believe is that service to others is valuable.
Yes, it is.
Right. So the more that I'm serving other people, right, the more I'm looking less at myself, right? And so working at AIDS Delaware, has been truly rewarding over the 24 years because I'm serving a population of people that are impacted by a variety of things, right? So, one, not only are they living with an illness, but they're living with an illness that has a lot of stigma and discrimination, right? So
has that lessened?
So I'm going to have to say no, right?
Oh,
because we still, so Trippi, right, listen, so we still live in a society where people are getting infected. We still live in a society where individuals would rather go to their deathbed than tell people that they have HIV.
True. That's true.
And I say that not like I say that from experience. Like loved ones are finding out that a person that passed away didn't just pass away from another illness, they passed away also with HIV. So yes, we are still living in a time where stigma kind of is available, it's rampant, and people still they don't want to tell anybody. But one of the things that we know is that as an organization, how important it is for us to continue to be out working with barbershops, beauty salons, and other venues that allow us to get the message out. Because one is that not only do we want, to come in contact with people who are living with the virus, who may not be in care, but we also want to come in contact with people who want to get tested for HIV so they can know their status.
Right.
Now, if they get tested and they are engaging in risky behavior, we can help them out with some of the options and solutions that we have, but it's their choice.
Right. When you say risky behavior, tell us what that means.
So, of course, risky behavior. So, are they engaging in any unsafe sexual or non-sexual behaviors? Okay. So, people easily get the sexual part. Right. But when we talk non-sexual, are they injecting drugs? Right? Are they an IV drug user? Are they someone who gets a lot of tattoos from an unregulated shop?
Never thought about that.
Right? So those are the two greatest things that we know of. And the thing about the tattoo part is that, so if somebody goes and gets a tattoo and let's say they did get infected, the likelihood of it being determined that the tattoo was the cause of infection is small, right? People will more look at it from the sexual side, especially if they're engaging in high-risk sexual behavior, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so we look at all that when we talk to people, because we really want to assess where people are with their sexual health.
It doesn't seem like HIV and AIDS is as prevalent as it was.
So I'm gonna
years
switch.
ago.
I'm gonna switch this around.
Okay.
What makes you? I'm gonna be the host.
Right,
What
right.
makes you say that?
Because it seems, I guess it's not as advertised. It's not like you just don't hear about it as much as we used to, as in the media and the newspaper. It's not like a hot topic like it was when it first hit.
Right.
Right.
And so I appreciate.
And I guess that's probably the dangerous part about it, right? Right.
That's the part, right? Yes, we've done, HIV is chronic. It's a chronic illness. We know that people are living much longer lives with HIV.
Right.
But there is no cure, right? And so with that being said, we still have to get the word out. So that's why I'm grateful and thankful to you for allowing us to be on the show and to talk about it, because we don't get a lot of media print, right? You don't see us advertised, or any talk about it in the newspaper like we used to when I first started, right? So we have to take the appropriate measures to get the word out. Like what? Word of mouth, social media, things of that nature is what we do. Because people still need to know that they can get infected with HIV. Right. They need to know that HIV did not go anywhere. It's still having a devastating impact in the African American community. And those are the facts that people really need to know about, right? So I'm glad that you answered that, the way you did, because if you don't see it as a person in the community, in the eye of the community, so to say, political world, if you're not seeing it, imagine what the everyday citizen is seeing and saying, right? So they may be saying, oh no, we can have sex unprotected because HIV is good, we don't hear about it. And then people get infected, and it's like, how did this happen?
Once somebody is infected with HIV, take us through that timeline. Like the average timeline. So someone has unprotected sex, or they go to a tattoo shop that isn't clean, or they are using drugs, through an IV.
So the timeline. So today, let's say somebody gets infected with HIV. They're not gonna know that they have HIV. They're probably not gonna exhibit any type of symptoms at this point, right? But as time goes on, a week or two, they will start experiencing some type of symptoms. Right? And keep in mind, because I don't want people to be like, well, it didn't happen like that for my friend, my sister. You always have those individuals. But the average person the CDC has even developed a timeline. So what happens is people go into the first stage of asymptomatic, which means no symptoms, no signs. And people can be in that stage for up to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Right? So now,
I didn't know that.
10 years walking around, not knowing they are infected because they have not gotten tested or received any type of HIV testing. So now they're walking around 10 years, no symptoms, perhaps possibly infecting other people, right? But also doing themselves a disservice in the aspect of their health. Because as they continue on, the virus is replicating. And then they go from that to symptomatic, which means now I'm exhibiting symptoms, and therefore, let me go get tested because I don't like the way I feel. And so most people, some people, most, will come in because things are happening that they can't, I don't know why this is occurring. I don't know why I feel this way. I don't know, but I did a little research. They Google now. Google will kill you, right? They put in some symptoms, and it says HIV is possibly one of them, and they come up to us. And they get tested, and so even if the test is negative, right? Once we do our assessment of the risk, based on what they tell us, we encourage them to come back in 30, 60, 90 days for another test to really determine if the test, in fact, is actually negative, because they're going to come in during what's called the window period, where they probably have not created any of the antibodies for this test to show, right? So they got to come back. In between the time of them waiting to come back, either they're going to be abstinent, have no sex, some form, practice some form of safer sex, no sharing of needles, or all those things, because we need to ensure that your test is kind of quote unquote accurate for what we're talking about. So,
so what are some of the symptoms of HIV?
So if a person is symptomatic, they will experience, some people will experience recurrent pneumonia. Okay, recurrent. And these are all, I don't want to get real, scientific with people, but these are called opportunistic infections. And what makes them opportunistic is that the opportunity presents itself for them to take hold.
Because the immune system is
compromised? Because the immune system is compromised, wherein a normal individual with a normal immune system, high T cells, we would ordinarily fight it off. Right, so the opportunity has presented itself, for these illnesses to occur. So, recurrent pneumonia, some forms of cancer that we normally could get rid of, like thrush in the mouth. You see a baby with the white thrush, a person who has moved on, to symptomatic may have that in their mouth. Right, those are the most common ones that people get. So, it's always advisable when people have those things that they go, go to their doctor, go get another test, because the doctor can then send them for different blood work to see what's going on actually.
And you came here tonight to share with us about it seems like it's a revolutionary medicine.
It's revolutionary.
It seems like,
I knew you was gonna say that word.
I've never heard of it before. When you came in, when you said that's why you're here.
So what? Tell her.
So he came. Frank came down. I didn't know. I figured he was coming around and talk around some subject around AIDS, because that's your specialty. That's your passion. But you said you're talking about PrEP.
Right.
And I had never heard of PrEP. And you
again.
Right.
You are. I don't know. This is your show. You are the president of Wilmington City Council.
Right, and had never heard of it.
Right? You're the president. Right, you stay abreast of news. You stay abreast of different things. And so if you haven't heard of it, like, what about the average person?
Exactly. So that's why I'm really grateful
and
that you
even
came
with
down.
them, there have been, I will say there have been commercials on TV talking about PrEP. But still, somebody of your stature, and you haven't heard of it.
Right.
What does that say about our average
so
society?
I guess that means that we really need to.
So we really need to elevate the topic about PrEP, because PrEP is a medication that will help a person who is HIV negative, meaning they don't have HIV,
so just
from becoming infected with HIV.
Just the average person who
just the average person
walking around.
Average person walking around. Right? And so we are on this campaign. We're getting shirts. We want to get some shirts on PrEP, right? So that people can know like what PrEP is. And ultimately, of course, it is their decision, right? When I talk to people about PrEP and they ask me about it, I ask them, well, what else have you tried first? Because of course, it is a medication that must be taken daily, ongoing.
Just like a daily.
Exactly, it's a daily medication, right? That they have injectables, they have a pill, but it has to be taken as prescribed. Right? If you want to prevent yourself from becoming infected with the virus.
So you said you asked people what have they done prior to taking PrEP? What else?
Have they tried abstinence? Have you tried condoms? Like what else have you done before you say, let me try this medication? Right? Because here's what the thing about it is that people have to have a degree of discipline right? You and I, the gym. The gym is not like I'm going today and I'm, this is my first time in the gym. I'm coming out of there losing 10 pounds and it don't work and then I ain't going back. The gym didn't work.
Right.
No, you have to stay consistent and you have to have that discipline in your life that says, I'm going to stick to it no matter what. And even if you decide that, at some point you're going to, stop engaging in unsafe behaviors, right? Then it's like, okay, it's still, let's discuss it. Right. And so we are doing this campaign called Am I Prepared? With the play on words with PrEP. Right. And it's hot. We got this this logo that's graffiti, like New York style graffiti, right? And we're not going to put the word HIV, AIDS in it, none of that, because we want people to, it's a play on words. Am I prepared? Excuse me, what is that? What's that? I'm glad you asked. Because we want it to be not a billboard, but we want it to be more of one-on-one conversation, right? So now I can explain it to you, like, have you heard of it? And you'd be like, oh no, I haven't heard of it. Well, it's a da-da-da, and we really are just getting the word da-da-da. Do you know anybody? Not to be offensive, that would be the question. So do you know anybody that this would be, and all they have to do with it is hit a QR code, and the QR code take them straight there. Everything is done for them online.
So tell me what you mean when you say everything is done for them.
So once they go to this QR code that's on this card, it will take them to Q-Care Plus. Right? Q-Care Plus is overseeing all of the medical part of it. So they set up an appointment for them, right? So that they can go get, the labs. Labs have to be done. HIV test has to be done first, right? So if you're positive, of course, PrEP is not for you, right? So yes, go get your labs done. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then start you on the medical. And all this is done virtually via, people talk now, you can do FaceTime or whatever you want to do, but it makes it easier for people because I don't have to travel to a doctor's office. I don't have to travel anywhere. I can just sit right here in the comfort of my home, right? COVID taught us that, right? You can do telehealth, is what it's called now. So people can do the telehealth with a nurse practitioner, a doctor, and they talk to them about it and send them a script, and then they go, with the script, they can come right to their, or have it mailed, or they can go to their pharmacy, wherever they go, and get the medication.
But I guess they would have to go to a location to be tested first, right?
Yeah.
But everything else you can do right through your tablet or your phone or. Okay. All right. So once.
Well, and not, you know what, and not, they don't have to because they have take-home tests now. Right? So people don't, it's the convenience. When I started, no, you had to come in. Right? And you had to wait 2 weeks and all this other stuff. So
now you have the rapid test. So if somebody comes to your office, they can get it. I'm sure you're still giving rapid tests, right?
Yeah, you get your results right there. So, and that's the thing, right? As you get your results, right? I'm waiting too for them. So I need to know during that process, what will be your reaction?
Right.
If this was to be positive, what's going to be your reaction? How would you respond? And it varies, but what that does for us as counselors, it kind of helps us to understand where we need to be positioned, so to say, physically. Like if you're gonna, punch and maybe I need to sit over here and bring this in to give us a little distance, right? All stuff that you learn in like treatment, therapy kind of stuff. So,
where's your office located?
So we're located right here on 10th Street, right here on 100 West 10th Street, Suite 315.
Okay. Do people need appointments?
No.
They can just.
Yeah, just come in.
Okay. What are the hours?
8:30 to 4:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday.
But if they want, they can always call. The great thing about AIDS Delaware is that we make it convenient and accessible to people. So if you call in and you say, I need an appointment tonight, right? It's, I just need it tonight, and you're in a. We're gonna come. Somebody's gonna meet you tonight at 8 o'clock. If let's just say 8, you say 8. I'll be there at 8. we'll be there at 8 waiting for you to give you, to accommodate you with your test. Because we understand like the anxiety that a person is going to be experiencing when they think of, and Monday for us, Monday is probably one of the, it's a day that the weekend just ended. It's Monday.
Yeah.
What I do this weekend, I don't remember, Lord Jesus, and so Monday is that day where a lot of people come in and they want to know about the weekend or whatever the case may be. But those numbers are lessening. I don't know if it's Delaware, but people are not as erratic.
I remember years ago, I'm not sure if it's still the case, but Delaware was one of the highest states per capita for HIV and AIDS, right?
So we have done well in that area per capita, right? We have dropped down, right? We're not even, I'm not even sure if we're in the top 10 anymore. But the situation with Delaware is that we have a high percentage of cases in the Black community, among Black women and among Black men who have sex with other men, who don't identify as gay, bisexual, or they just have sex with other men. And so the problem is that if a male is having sex with other men and he may have a girlfriend, the opportunity presents itself perhaps for transmission to occur to her. And so that's when we look at the numbers, and we look at the numbers amongst women and Black men, they're both kind of high, with the thought process being that perhaps some of these men are infecting some of these women. Right?
Because they're having sex with other men.
Yeah.
Okay. How is that how is that even determined though? Is that like through just a one-on-one conversation once you kind of establish that the person is positive and they just kind of have like an open?
Well, I could tell you a situation, right? Guy comes in, wants to get tested, and we ask you a lot of questions. All right? How many partners have you had? I always start with, how many partners have you had? Or what brought you in today? And you'll say, well, I just want to get tested. And I'll be like, I'll start laughing. I got a little chuckle thing. And the guy be like, the person will be like, what? I'll be like, so I've been doing this for a long time. People just don't come in because it's their birthday. They're coming in because something occurred that brought them in. And so then people will be like, yeah, so is it something that brought you in? And they go into, I have sex with other men, and my girl don't know, or, typically the girlfriend doesn't know, the spouse maybe don't know. And so when was the last time you had sex with your male partner? Last night. Oh, okay, was it safe or unsafe? What does that mean? That means, did you have a condom on, or didn't you? And then, well, I didn't. Were you a top or were you a bottom? What does that mean? That means, were you the receiver of penetration or you the giver? And so based on those questions is how we determine like what's going on in this situation, right? And of course, everything that we share and talk about is confidential, right? So, and that's one of the things, because you're telling me, and I always thank people, like, thank you so much for disclosing this information. I'm sure it took a lot. Man, you just don't, because it's a kind of like part of the weights are lifted. So they're like, yeah, man, I don't know, man, but I and the one thing that most will say is, but I ain't gay or nothing. Okay, well, I'm not here. I tell them, I'm not here to judge that. I'm just here to help you with this process of getting tested. That's it. I don't make no judgments. I don't, your results are your results because it's based on your behavior.
What about people, what about minors? Do they have to have an adult with them? Like if somebody is...
So you have to be, in Delaware, it's 12.
Okay.
You could be 12 without parental consent. So what barriers we run in and challenges is that sometimes a parent has brought their child to our office, right? Yeah, I brought my son here. Okay, thank you, ma'am. You ready to get tested? Yeah, come on back. And the parent get up, and what do we have to say?
Right.
Ma'am, they have to give you consent to come back. Well, ma'am, I understand.
Right.
I totally understand. But in the and I just quote the law, in the state of Delaware, right? The code, it says that a person who is 12 years old does not need parental consent to get tested. So if I let you come, I'm violating the law.
Right.
So your child has to give authorization. So I'm gonna step back and see, I can step away and y'all can discuss it, and or I can stay in. What would you like? Because now for the first time, a 12 or 13-year-old is feeling empowered, right? And they be like, well, some say I really want to do this by myself. Okay, ma'am, there's water over here. You know, there's water over there. There's a magazine, right? And you take the child back and you talk, right? And they tell you some stuff. So,
what's your contact information?
I can be reached at 302-652-6776, or I'll say my email address is Hawkins, HAWKINS, at AIDS, AIDS Delaware, all spelled out, DELAWARE.org.
Okay.
So.
And going back to PrEP real quick before we go to break. So PrEP, how is it paid for?
So the company that makes it, they have programs. So they have a lot of prescription programs that people can utilize to pay for it. The company that we're working with, they help people work through the whole red tape of paying for the medication. Because the goal, again, is not just about the medication, it's about getting people on it.
Right.
So it's similar, I liken it to, I tell people, I feel great about this because I feel like I'm going back to my roots of when I first started with barbershops and beauty salons. Walking around, talking a whole lot, right? You remember, like, hitting the streets, like, you know about PrEP? Do you know about PrEP? PrEP. And so everybody starts talking this PrEP, all of us, all around, in Delaware, right? So I'm gonna do my part, and anybody that's willing to join me, by all means, join me, because we're gonna start this movement with PrEP, right? And get the utilization and people using it up, right? Because the more people that we get on PrEP, the less infections we see.
Okay.
So.
All right, brother, I appreciate you, man. It's been a minute, but it's good to have you back.
My man.
All right, and I did not know my dad was coming down to the studio. I heard him over there making some noise. I guess he was trying to let us know that he's here. He showed up. He hasn't been here in a few months almost. I'm gonna take a really quick break, and we're gonna come back with a special edition of Sammy's Corner. I'm sure you have been wanting this for a while now, because I have. So we're gonna come back and see what's on his mind. Again, if you ever need to talk to Frank or anyone from AIDS Delaware, he gave you his contact info. We're also going to have it on the screen so that you can call them to learn more about PrEP or to learn more anything that's AIDS related. All right, we'll take a quick break and we will be right back.
DETV has been Delaware's premium provider of creative digital and broadcasting solutions that bridges communities and connects people. We create great stories for all audiences. We deliver independent news throughout Delaware. We are digital platform innovators. And we develop marketing and sales solutions so you can stay connected to your audience. Now, why do we do what we do here on DETV? We do it because we care. So, keep watching and follow us on all of our social media platforms. Remember, DETV, online, on air, on time.
Hello and welcome back to the Congo Hour. I hope that you enjoyed my first interview with Frank from AIDS Delaware. And when we went off air, we decided just to make sure that we are doing our part in promoting AIDS awareness and the importance of being tested. We are going to do a testing as part of the show down at his main office right on 10th Street. So we're going to do live testing right on the show, just to show the importance of being tested and knowing your status and knowing the options out there if you are positive, and if you're negative, the prevention that you can also take as far as the new medicine that's on the market called PrEP. So again, we want to thank Frank Hawkins and all of his team down at AIDS Delaware. So I have been waiting for this moment for, I don't even know if we have been on air at the same time since we've been back on the show. Have we been on?
Nope.
It's our first time on together. I know it's our first time, just you and I. I don't know if Wayne has ever been a part. But we've been back on the air about 3 or 4 months now, and we are finally getting the long-awaited Sammy's Corner, part of the Congo Hour. So I don't know, man. I know there's a lot going on in the city, a lot going on in the state, got a lot going on in the world. I don't know what's on your mind.
I just wait for your lead.
Oh man, come on. So I guess, okay, let's talk about politics, and then we can talk about the funeral home.
Okay.
All right, we'll
Okay.
have 2 sections. Okay? All
That
right.
sounds good to me.
All right, so I guess as far as politics, the hot topic recently has been around residency. And, unfortunately, I wish this show, it's kind of hard to talk about residency because we took a vote, but the show isn't live, so we really can't talk about it in real time. But residency has been a hot topic. Hopefully, things will go well as far as I'm concerned around residency and the importance of it. And, I guess I've been talking about it on here for the last couple of months off and on. I've been talking about it on different social media platforms. We've been talking about it on council. And again, we're just trying to, as a council, we are trying to make sure, I'm trying to make sure that Wilmingtonians are the priority and made aware of the shortage that the city of Wilmington is facing as far as staffing levels. So right now, just to kind of rewind, I'll help everybody to understand what residency is. So right now, if you want to work with the city of Wilmington, you have to live in the city for 5 years once you start employment. If you don't already live in the city, you have 6 months to move into the city, and then you have to live within city limits for 5 years. After 5 years, if you continue to work with the city, you can move wherever you want. Okay. Years ago, in the 90s, residency was total commitment. If you work with the city, you had to live in the city, no matter how long you work. If you work for 20 years, you had to live in the city for the whole entirety, for the whole 20 years. Over the years, it's been lowered to like 12 years. Now it's at 5 years. And there has been concern from the administration, from the mayor and his team, that they cannot fill a lot of the vacancies that in the city because there's just not enough qualified or prepared people that have applied for those vacant positions. There are about 100 of them. So they want council to lift the residency requirement. And what that would do would just kind of open up the pool of applicants to the different cities like Newark and Ellesmere and Claymont and Newcastle County and anywhere in the state, and even outside of the state. And I think, we've had this conversation before, and I was all for it. I was definitely for lifting residency because what's happening is the constituents, the people who live here and pay taxes, they are not receiving the same efficient services, city services that they have been traditionally over the past couple of years because of the staff shortages. So I was, having conversations with my colleagues on council, having conversations with the administration, on some of the city employees, and I thought that lifting residency would be a great idea because it's going to give us more people to choose from. We can get people here to work and make sure that our residents are getting those services that they're paying for. But again, with more conversations with my colleagues and the community, they helped me to understand that we have to do a better job of making sure that Wilmingtonians know that there's a staffing shortage. And to the city's credit, there have been job fairs. It's posted on our website when vacancies go out. There may have been different like listings on Indeed and different job sites like that. But I just don't think that we have put enough effort and money behind making sure that the awareness is there, that Wilmingtonians, hey, If you need work, come apply for the city. So I think that needs to be done first. And if that works, if that doesn't work, I'm all for lifting residency. You know, if we really try, if we really put the money behind it, and if we really have an honest and concerted effort to make sure that Wilmingtonians know about the staffing shortage, and they still, you know, and there's still too many vacancies, and the police department still can't get enough applicants to, you know, to be in the next academy. Then yeah, let's talk about maybe including Newcastle County or having some type of radius where we expand the limits of where people can apply for a city job. But until we do that, I just think that we have to put our residents first. I know we've had conversations around it, and I just think, and you helped me realize a lot too, that, you know, and if we don't have that talent pool, I think it's our responsibility as a government to make sure that we are preparing people to take those kind of responsibilities on, not just turn our back on them and say we're going to go out into the county now, we're going to go out of state now. I think that's a disservice to the people who want to work and just haven't been prepared to take on those kind of responsibilities.
I think you're absolutely right. But I think the question you got to ask yourself, is it the quality of people, or is it that, I guess, for instance, and you said, are the people really interested? And what has our city not prepared our residents for the responsibility of what you're speaking of? Case in point, how many people reside in Wilmington, Delaware?
About 71,000.
Okay. How many people vote during a campaign?
Maybe about 10, a little bit over 10, usually between like 10 and 20%, not even 20% of people who are able to vote. All right.
Okay. That says that Wilmington has not done its job in preparing folks to be a part of the process.
Right.
When you have city council meetings, which governs these kinds of things, how many people show up at the meeting, at the city council meeting?
Maybe 5 or 6.
What does that say?
Right.
Okay. So it isn't the fact that there aren't folks qualified. I think that Wilmington has overlooked its responsibilities to invite people to be a part of the process.
Oh, definitely.
So going out and getting people from Newcastle or New Jersey or Newark isn't going to solve the problem.
All right.
If you think that there is a problem in the preparations for people in Wilmington to fill the work requirements that Wilmington needs in order to provide those services. So I don't think that we have really done the job.
No, we absolutely have not.
And so all you're doing is just kicking the issue to the side.
The real issue. All right.
The real issue, right.
Of people not being prepared,
Right.
possibly to take on those kind of
and
responsibilities.
you know, it doesn't affect everybody. Who is it that's being affected, and what are these jobs? For instance, I think there's been a scare tactic in saying that we're not about how many people are listed for the police department's new
absolutely.
big
And
deal.
I think that's, I'm going to give you some numbers. I want people to have numbers.
Okay.
So to back up what you're talking about, because that's the truth. So if usually an academy might have 20 to 30, maybe even more people in it. Our current academy has 7 people in it. So like you said, that scare tactic, not looking at the real issue, is saying that the police department isn't going to be able to keep Wilmingtonians safe if this trend continues of just having these smaller academies, because just not as many people are applying. So they want to open up the pool applicant to Newcastle and to more people, so that in their minds, more if the pool is bigger, more people would apply. But having conversations with people on the county force and even on the state force, for the state, take the state for example. I have a friend who's a trooper, and he was saying that when he first got on, there were 3,000, 3,000 applicants for 40 jobs. That number has diminished to 300. In the county where there are 500,000 people, the last 2 county academies, one had 5 people, and one had 14. And the city has 7, where there's about 70,000 people. So it's not that people, to me, it's more that people don't want to be police officers because of the stigma that's goes along with being a police officer. Police officers are known for targeting Black and brown people. So how do you expect Black and brown people to sign up to want to be a police officer? And it's the police department has to do a better job of almost like rebranding themselves and holding each other accountable before they expect people to really say, okay, this is what I want to do. And it just goes, and the numbers are showing it. You have the state of Delaware that has around 1 million people now, and only 300 people have applied to be a state trooper. So opening up the pool of applicants isn't going to solve the problem, because if they don't want to be Newcastle County cops, why are they going to want to be city cops? When the city cops, that job is way more difficult than a county or a state trooper. Like they have it the hardest. So if they want to be a police officer and they live in the county, why would they sign up for the city and not the county? But if they live outside of the county and they can be a state trooper, why are they going to be a state trooper? And why are they going to be a city officer but not be a state trooper when it's it's not as demanding of a job? So and the police department has used that scare tactic, and I think that is just so unfair, for them to do that.
I guess if I got the statistics right, cities hire policemen based on per capita. And what I understand is that Wilmington has more police per capita. Yeah,
we're in the top 5. So that's another thing that we talked about. Like, we're in the top 5 of police officers per capita.
Yeah.
So what that means is that we're ahead of New York. We're ahead of Newark, New Jersey. We're ahead of some major cities in our country, and even in the tri-state area, as far as police per capita. We have around 300 and something. And so not having as many police officers isn't going to put us in danger, because we still have around 300 police officers who are here to protect us. So that's just not a fair analysis for them to kind of put out there, saying that we're not going to be able to keep you safe, Wilmington, because they have to do some internal restructuring to make sure that more police officers are on the street and more police officers are walking the beat and more police officers are engaged in the community to help them to solve the crime. So it hasn't been a fair story that the police department has put out there.
And that's why I say it's a scare tactic.
Right.
That's exactly the first thing they should say, do we have enough policemen working? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
And so police department is not a department that isn't filling its responsibilities as far as having enough people on board. So when the policeman or the administration is saying that where city isn't safe, then that's a scare tactic.
Right.
And all these other systems has to be, I call it reinvented, because they're there to reject people that really are qualified, but the systems prevent them based on the systems,
Right.
not the qualifications.
Right.
So I
That's the
think
bigger
that
story.
when COVID came out, it affected everybody.
Right.
So Pfizer, all the other folks got together and said, we got to do something about this. And they worked hard at it. But I think that the city has to do something like Pfizer and those folks did and said, what are we going to do about this? How do we engage our citizens in being a part of the process that gives us a great city?
Right.
And people feel good about being here. People feel good about being a policeman. People feel good about everything about the city.
Right.
That does not exist. So it isn't that we don't have enough participants. We just haven't attracted those participants based on the prerequisites and the stigmas that have been placed upon those systems.
Right. That's exactly what it is. And I hope that, we don't have a lot of time left, but I hope that you and I are able to continue to have this conversation, because it's important that we help people to be aware of like the real issues, not just what's on the surface. And those conversations can be uncomfortable for people who are in elected positions and people who are kind of like, quote unquote, the leaders of our community. But I think it's an extremely necessary conversation if we ever want to change Wilmington for the better.
I agree.
All right. So, I mean, welcome back, man. It's been a while. So can you, how many weeks out of the month can you commit to coming on the show?
My life is all yours. When I get invited, I come to the party.
So
My
that means-
mailbox
that means-
must be in the wrong place.
That means
I
you're
haven't
not gonna
received
commit.
an invitation.
Oh, okay. So I'm inviting you to come next week so we can continue the conversation. How's
I'll be
that?
the first one at the door.
Okay. All right. All right. So hopefully you enjoyed this edition of Samuel's Corner. I know it's been a long time coming, but he said he's back, and he said he'll be back next week. But we'll see. I got faith in you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we're going to take another quick break, and I will be right back to wrap up.
Government doesn't make a move without an agenda, some type of plan. The problem is we haven't been on the agenda. Sometimes we're overlooked. Sometimes our interests aren't the interest of those in power. I'm your host, Kerwin Gaines, on DETV's new show, The Agenda. We're going to do our best to ensure that you, Delawareans, are knowledgeable about what's going on in the Assembly. Federal government, local government, it doesn't matter. We're going to do our best to ensure that folks that make the agenda on a daily basis have to answer for it. Let them explain what they're doing. If it affects you, it's on the agenda.
All right, I hope that you have enjoyed this evening's Congo Hour. It's great to have my dad back for Sammy's Corner. If you ever want to be a part of the show, just reach out to Wayner on our Facebook page. You can call us at the funeral home at 652-8887, and we'll make sure that you get in contact with Wayner and she can schedule you to come on the show. All right, thank you so much for tuning in again, and God willing, we will see you next week.